The habits of fans or followers of public figure defending or pushing their idol on social media is something that can be admired and also condemned when it comes to toxic outlook. With the internet providing hours of content and easily available information about public figures, it is no surprise that people find themselves increasingly attached to them, leading to the rise of internet phenomenon known as what we call stan culture. Stan culture is defined as somebody who is slightly more invested in you than your average fan. If there's one public figure who has garnered massive online following and support, it will be Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. The former governor of Anambra State has built a large following out of nothing, with his supporters going by the name Obedience. However, members and supporters of other political parties have called out Obedience for online bullying and disregard for citizens who support other candidates running for office. But the trend of supporters pushing their preferred candidate to any level on social media is not new, as other parties have used the same platform to further their cause in the past. The question now is, why that of Obedience is different? So joining us now on the morning show as we discuss accusations that Obedience as social media bully is Felix S. Yusuf, member of the Peter Obi Central Coordinators. Welcome to the program. I mean, respond to all of this, about this online bullying talk and all of this and the accusations people give you, the Obedience as regards this. And I hear the Obedience and the usefuls now, they're called.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Rufai. Good morning, Dr. Abati. So this group of people that the oppositions in the media are making allegations against them that they are bullies, they are bullies and going against what other people are saying. They came on social media after Peter Obi declared to run for president. They came with the intention of having an elevated conversation. They came online to sell their candidate. They came online to have an issue-based conversation. Issue-based conversation in the area of education. ASU is on strike. Our GDP to debt ratio is not great at all. Insecurity, police brutality, human rights abuses. These are the issues that these people brought to bear to sell their candidates. But unfortunately, they were matched with a very pedestrian opposition, a pedestrian conversation from the opposition camp. Rather, they got to the point where the name they coined themselves, Obedience, was now ridiculed into words like obituaries, obi-end, to the point that they were all to the point that they were gaslighted and lumped up to names like linking them to iPods and stuff like that. So this wasn't the expectation of these young people. They were expecting issue-based debate, issue-based discussion. But what they are meeting is totally different. So ever since then, this group of people, this Obedience, they've been on the defensive side. They've been on the defensive side, trying to tell these people that let's have a better conversation. Instead of telling me that my candidate will not win or my candidate has no structure. Okay, you're telling me my candidate has no structure, my candidate will not win. We are saying we are the people. We are considering election to be a people's project. We want to contribute our quota to see that we bring in a leader that can give us that economic and political future that we've been yearning for. Young people don't want to waste any year ahead. They don't want to waste any, because we can agree that okay, they've lost some years due to the management of the economy, of security by the current administration. So they are yearning for better. That is why they are coming with this kind of conversation, to have a better conversation, expecting people to bring up conversation that is talking about our socio-economic issues.
You're saying is the other side that's trying to bully you.
Yes, people, they've been on the offensive, and we have been on the defensive.
Okay, let me ask you. Look, one of the things in politics is color, the excitement, the drama, and I will, readily admit that the Labour Party, the Obedient movement, has added a lot of color and momentum to the 2023 process, particularly with the phrase obediently useful. Yeah. I think that is very creative. But in the intro, you were told that, look, a lot of social media activity. Do you really believe that social media, is really where the voting will take place? Because yesterday I was citing the example of Kenya. A candidate there, the third candidate, George Wajakoya. In fact, he was organizing reggae concerts. He was talking about giving people marijuana. It was, just like this obedient movement in Nigeria, a lot of drama. But at the end of the day, he scored 0.4% of the votes, just a little above 60-something thousand votes out of over 14 million votes. Now, do you think that your movement will be able to make a difference in Nigeria beyond social media activism?
Great. Social media is a very important instrument in winning election. But the fact here is, social media is not even my fear. My fear is INEC. Because the efficacy of social media will depend on the credibility of INEC. So on social media, what we Obedience do, we bring our reports from the grassroots mobilization, sensitization that we've been doing. In fact, from the start of the campaign, we use social media to encourage more Nigerians to go out and vote. Before the close of INEC registration, our conversation, our advocacy was bordered around go and get your PVC. Right now, the registration is closed. People are trying to get the process to get PVCs ready is underway. We've taken the conversation from go and get your PVC to now ensure you collect your PVC. If you're able to register for new PVC, you're able to transfer your voters' information, you're able to apply for replacement successfully, you have the right to ensure that you pick up your PVC before on election day. Because ordinarily, INEC is supposed to close PVC registration 90 days before election. So right now, let's agree that, okay, they want to give some excuses like logistical issues, so the reason why they're closing it earlier than that. That means there will be no justification for, if at the end of the day, a registrant is not able to pick his PVCs.
Okay, I'd like to extend this further. One of the things they say about this obedient movement and Peter Obi's prospect is, no structure. I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times. So you are saying you are having local cell arrangements. What is that like? And recently, there was a talk about the 2 million man march in Kaduna. That Governor Nasir El-Rufai came out and said 2 million in Kaduna, and was asking questions. How is it going to be possible and all of that, and the tweets went up and there's been lots of reaction as regards it, and pretty much from the inference, a lot of people were saying that, you guys can't get 2 million people in Kaduna. That's what the inference was saying. And we've had cases of people, even like Deji Adeyanju, betting $10,000 and saying, you're going to come distant third. What do you say to all? And he's put the money down already.
Yes, I saw that from his tweet.
Yeah. What do you say about all of this?
So, there's a way the political machine works. The political machine tried to work on the people's psychology. So before now, the reading claim on social media is Peter Obi movement has no structure outside social media. We say, okay, no problem. No structure, we'll go ahead and vote. So we started identifying like minds. We started meeting. We used technology to mobilize ourselves. People started talking to each other, and this structure they're talking about, the structure is building already. So right now, they're no longer talking about no structure. Now they're looking for something else to dampen the morale of obedience. Okay, they say no structure, and every day when you go out there, it's easy for you to identify an obedience than any other political adherent. So the conversation is no longer no structure anymore, because they've seen that, you say there's no structure, now you can see the structure. That's why I say on social media, we only come on social media to give the report of the excellent work we are doing at the grassroots level. Okay, this 2 million man march in Kaduna that the governor of Kaduna tweeted about, what's your take on it? And this bet by Deji Adeyanju? Yeah, for the 2 million march for Kaduna, I feel that the governor just want to make like maybe a mockery of the statement. He doesn't believe in it. Great things at the start of it, you get lots of disapproval, disbelief, and people trying to tell you, it's not possible. But we want to tell them it's possible. So I believe that's the reason why the governor made that tweet, like just to make more. So are you going to get 2 million people in Kaduna? We can get that. You can, or you have
the entire. We don't need to split hairs over that. The entire population of Kaduna State is 1.158 million. So if you are talking about 2 million man march in Kaduna, maybe the governor of Kaduna State is right in saying that they don't have up to 2 million people in the whole of Kaduna State. Maybe the people will come from neighboring states. But anyway, we'll see if you do it. But I wanted to ask you, there was a picture we discussed earlier this morning, which was the picture of Mr. Peter Obi being seen with Wike, Governor Yusuf Wike of Rivers yesterday in a group photograph. And there have been speculations about what that could possibly be. Okay, I tried to say that perhaps, Mr. Peter Obi was in Port Harcourt to attend the 74th birthday event of former Governor Dr. Peter Udili, right?
Yeah.
But I said, well, he knows what the reason is. But you are a member of his group. Do you have any idea why he's hobnobbing with Nyesom Wike? Is Mr. Peter Obi seeking an alliance with the Wike camp? And for what purpose? Is there something you know that we don't know?
Dr. Abacha, I can't directly pinpoint that he's seeking an alliance. But in this situation, they are not enemies. Just because we are asking that, okay, give us the chance, we can do it better, does not mean that the opposition are in a fight with us. Does not mean that we're enemies. Does not mean that there wouldn't be collaboration where need be. Does not mean that there wouldn't be consultation where need be. Because the end goal of this situation is to ensure that we are taking Nigeria from where it is today to a place that we can call home, to a system that leaves no one behind, to a system that is fit for purpose. So if it demands him consulting and meeting with few people from the other flanks of the political fight, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, let's talk about even elections and what it comes down in costs. By my rough calculations, election day spending, there's a standard 3 to 5 billion naira you have to spend. Because you have well over 160,000 polling units, and you need 2 to 3 people that man the polling units. And by my experience, you pay them normally between 5 to 10,000 naira. So that's 5, if you say 5,000 naira, 15,000 times 3 people times 160,000 polling units. What's your take as regards that? Does this movement have allowances for that? And this polling units are spread over 774 local government areas?
So in my previous interview, I usually argue that election is a people's project and not a politician's project. Before now, the people leave the task of bringing people into power solely to the politicians. They don't take part. They leave everything to be okay. Politicians to deal with that, and we just sit back and whatever is thrown at us, we survive it for the next 4 years or the next 8 years. But young people, Nigerians are beginning to realize that you have to bring your resources, you have to put your best foot forward to bring in leaders that can serve your purpose. You have to contribute to bring in leaders that will serve you. You will not sit down and someone else will bring in a leader that will serve you. No, that person will bring in a leader that will serve their purpose. Whether the system will end in a dysfunctional system or whatever system, they'll definitely have to be for their purpose.
Who are those who are going to be the agents? Because when a lot of people make arguments about structure, the polling agents, for instance, in this over 160,000 polling units we have across the country, normally it's the local government councillors, the chairman and the likes, that would even make allowance and arrangement for those polling agents that I'm talking about. And that's why you see that's a major spend, and it comes down to that 5 billion.
Yeah.
But the argument by a lot of people is that you don't have those elected councillors, you don't have those people that will make that canvassing and even get things like polling agent, because all your votes in all the polling unit needs to be counted. So what's your take on that?
Before now, there's usually this brag that most politicians say that, okay, so and so will deliver. I will deliver my polling unit, or I will deliver my state, or I will deliver my unit, or whatever. When you analyze that, it's obvious that these people have assumed that, okay, they can decide how people will come out and vote on that day. But right now, I don't think it's going to be feasible anymore. I don't think that any governor or maybe any councillor or any local government chairman will have that sole confidence of saying that, okay, I will deliver my unit, and expecting that these people that have faced misgovernance for 7 years plus and waiting for a system that can be better for them will just sit down and assume that, okay, my governor or my imam or my pastor or my local government chairman is saying, vote this person and I'll vote this person. Because they've seen what misgovernance can do. It leaves no one behind. It goes for everyone.
Okay, no, the matter is like this. Let me define it. When Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the APC, went to campaign in Osun State, he said Labour Party, that they will labor till they die in vain. What he was referring to was the fact that, look, in Osun State, right, as it turned out, the Labour Party, yes, had a very articulate, candidate, but there was nobody on the ground. Your party had nobody in the House of Assembly, had nobody as local government chairman, had nobody, more or less in strategic places. On election day, those are the people who go out. People will go and vote, right?
Sure.
Naturally. If you have your voter's card, you go and vote. But those people, they need to be mobilized. So, across different parts of the country, how many members do you have as Labour Party in the National Assembly who will go and do the big push across the country? Because it's not something that one man can do. And it's not something you can do on social media. You really have to have boots on the ground. That's the question. And I guess that was why Asiwaju Tinubu will say, oh, they will labor till they die in vain. You may say that's a bit harsh. Now, Isaac Fayoshe, that's the brother of Peter Fayoshe, former governor of Ekiti State. He has also just been quoted in the media saying that Peter Obi will need up to about 50 billion naira to even be able to push the needle in terms of getting close at all. Okay? And he says he doesn't think that Peter Obi has 50 billion naira to be able to put strong structure that will mobilize people in place. Does he have 50 billion naira? Even if Isaac Fayoshe may be exaggerating to serve the purpose of his party.
So the importance of money, the instrumentality of money in politics, in election, can never be underestimated. Money is very important in winning election. This amount of money that these people are really talking about, let's not forget that a part of it will go into vote buying. A part of it will go into, okay, paying, just like Mr. Rufai said, okay, getting people that will mount polling units and ensure that the people's votes are counted down till the end of an election day. But right now, we are having volunteers. Like myself, I'm a volunteer. I'm volunteering for a cause that will give me a better life. I don't need to be paid for it. I don't need to be paid for it. Because if I'm paid to do a particular task, an amount of money that will not save me a particular day, how will it save me in the next eight years? So young people will be volunteering. They will be taking this project. They will be taking ownership of this project. Definitely money will play a critical role. People will contribute money, contribute resources, bring their skills to bear. But the thing is, these actions that will be taken will be effective just as much as we think that having that very huge amount of money to compensate people, pay honorariums and other things will also be effective. People will be volunteering.
Okay. So just to get the empirical fact, right? This is a quote from a website, but the exact number of polling units in Nigeria is 176,974. And speaking of vote buy, we don't support vote buying, but I was talking to a candidate in the last governorship elections in Osun, and he said all political parties did vote buy, all of them. That even the small ones, the question is who paid more? That's the way Nigeria has become. But I want to also drill back that in these 176,974 polling units, what's the ward system like of the Labour Party? Are the wards holding meetings as we speak? Because this is part of the canvassing structure a lot of people talk about. In many areas, take for instance, by the top of my head, you have various wards across the state. What is the ward structure? What is the attendance like? What is happening? And what is this push as regards this? Are you highlighting those that are going to be voluntary or those that are going to be paid? Because even with the best intention of volunteering, people will tell you that they still need something to eat. How are you accounting for all of that? That's the conversation now about structure. What's the ward level like in the 36 states, 774 local government areas?
You see, I made a statement initially that the conversation has moved from there's no structure now to something else, right? Because when you go on social media and see what obedience, just like I said, okay, on social media, we just come to like, okay, give this a report of all we've been doing.
On ground. Only yes. Less than 40 million people are on social media.
Yeah,
Let's talk about what's on ground.
I'm going there.
Yeah, reality.
When the various units, not just, there are various units, regions and states, you see this group of people called obedience meeting themselves, finding like minds. Majorly they use information technology to identify themselves and mobilize themselves. But people are meeting, planning on how to launch into campaign, planning on how to ensure that on election day, they are not just going there to vote, they are going there to vote, stay back and ensure that their vote is counted and transmitted electorally. Okay.
So they have ward systems and,
absolutely,
and all of that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so boots on the ground now. Another thing I'd like to ask you is, how firm is the boots on the ground? What are the rallies like? We talked about 2 million. Dr. Bati cited that 1.5 million people are in Kaduna. So we're talking about
Kaduna Metropolis.
In Kaduna Metropolis.
That's what he says. I see some people are reacting. They're saying the population of Kaduna State. But in Kaduna Metropolis, where you want to hold
what's boots on the ground like? What are the rallies like? What are these, boots on the ground? Because majority of Nigerians want the things they can see. Sure. What is going on the ground?
Sure. Just like the Kaduna rally, now it's not going to be just Kaduna City alone. There's also going to be a peace march in Zaria.
Okay.
There will be a peace march in Zaria. Other indigenes and indwellers of Kaduna that wouldn't be there at that moment, definitely they will join online.
Okay, but what do you think of the fact that some other political parties and candidates have had to complain about the attitude of people called obedience? Because even as we are having this conversation, I see people quarreling, splitting hairs over population of Kaduna or Kaduna State and all of that. That's not the issue. The big issue is you'll be able to mobilize people. We discussed this yesterday, but let me go away from that. Mr. Peter Obi himself has had to caution these obediently useful people, attacking other people, taking on other people, saying that, look, people should be polite because he himself is not playing the politics of hate, of aggression. Why is that radical difference between his own temperament and the people who claim that they are supporting him? Don't you think that the attitude of the people who claim that they are obediently useful may well be damaging his brand? Because in terms of temperament and attitude, his own attitude is different. Because he had to respond to the Tinubu group to say, look, no, we are against politics of acrimony. So why is this difference? Is it a lack of coordination? Is it, alienation between the candidate and those who say they are obedient? You are an insider. You should be able to tell us.
You don't beat a child, and when the child cries, you say, oh, you're crying too loud. Just like I say, obedience has been on the defensive side. Because Peter Obi is peaceful, peace-loving, and trying to be diplomatic always, does not mean that he has the 100% control of the emotions of people who are telling you that my candidate can give us a better system, and you are coming back to call me obituaries, or you're coming back to tell me you have no structure, or you're coming back to tell me my candidate will not even get 2% of the vote. So obedience have been reacting to all these push and ridiculing words that they've been getting from the opposition camp. So it's just reacting. They've been reacting. Because when obedience reacts, they trigger obedience. And when they react to say, okay, oh, you think we will not get the 2 million, but you think my vote is useless, I'm ready to useless my vote. I'm ready to waste my vote. I'm ready to vote in a structure, a system that I said is structureless, there's no structure. I'm ready to do it. I want to be proud of my vote.
So when is this 2 million march taking place? And where are you importing people from? Since you say the people will not just come from Kaduna, they will come from everywhere.
I'm sorry, Doctor, but we are not importing.
Okay.
Yeah,
when the governor says you are going to import people.
Yeah, he has right to have that opinion, and that doesn't mean that we have to go with that. We're not importing.
Thank you very much, Yusuf, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You even bear the name. You're a very useful man.
Yes, I'm useful and obedient.
Thank you for joining us.